With cybersecurity attacks on the rise, Executive Order 14028 highlights specific high-impact areas of cybersecurity that need to be addressed, and it provides prescriptive guidance on how to do it. Mike Spanbauer, director at Juniper Security, recently published a blog to explain its significance. So, Mike, the focus of the EO is to help protect the nation's networks and critical infrastructure. What are the implications across government, including state and local?
Rick, that's a great question. And certainly this is an exciting topic, as I do believe that the executive order set out to provide effective guidance as well as prescriptive measures that the federal groups involved would pursue in order to better guide and support security efforts throughout many aspects of the nation's infrastructure. And so this particular executive order came out last year in May, and in essence set forth some particular steps for really establishing better threat intelligence sharing. That's the discovery of attacks both on an entity as well as from that moment, any discovered vulnerabilities or potential areas of exploitation between groups and a whole series of guidance there. In addition, updated and stronger standards for cybersecurity throughout a number of federal entities and agencies. Plus, within that, there's a number of initiatives that include zero trust architectures, and certainly, I think, words that many hear in context of security, but in terms of how one goes about achieving zero trust is quite an involved endeavor, and there's elements there. Beyond that, software supply chain security is a significant piece of this, and I think many have heard in the news, right, these threats that have existed within other software that you're using. Well, it's certainly broad. And in this component of the EO, there are elements of language that speak to this software bill of materials, or in essence, an index of what's in your software that the client, or in this case, right, the agencies can then index and look at relative to, activities and actions that they need to take measures on. So those are just a few of the pieces that are outlined within the EO. And I think one other piece that's actually very important, because it's also a great practice for enterprise organizations too, which is playbooks for incident response and how you act or handle the finding or discovery of either a vulnerability or an incident itself. Right? That's when a threat has landed. There's some potential exploitation or data manipulations that's occurred, and you're now in the drill mode of responding to said incident. And this playbooks activity speaks to the need for the organizations to be able to work within the context of each other's, as well as take really consistent action throughout their own needs. And so all of this works and seeks to improve the investigation and remediation capabilities of the government, the agencies involved overall.
Awesome. And I mean, it sounds like there's a ton to unpack in this executive order, but you did bring up supply chain, and that many times does affect a broader set of companies. If people are working with government, what do they need to know in terms of software supply chain?
So I think briefly, first of all, right, the concept of the software supply chain is this code reuse and leverage, which frankly is just good practices for efficiency, right? Libraries that are contributed by open source or other mechanics that vendors then use to expedite their own delivery of software. And in particular, right, being able to detail out exactly which libraries are used, which versions of said libraries are employed, as well as how the functions are controlled, because you can disable or enable certain functions, even if it's open source or contributed software. That's all within the scope of this. And so vendors often have this index today, but part of what the EO seeks to help guide and really provide visibility to is which software components are where, and ensuring that when things are discovered, right, in this vulnerable world that we are in, that the right agencies can take actions to either patch or remediate or address in some way the software. So there's not yet explicit contract language, but we're expecting within the next few months here in the middle of 22 to find some of that slowdowns from the agencies that are guiding this effort to vendors to support and really address this initiative.
Well, Mike, thanks for joining and explaining the significance this executive order has on improving cybersecurity at the national level. And it sounds like several of the items will also benefit other sectors and markets as well. So to read Mike's blog post or watch his webinar, check out the links below. And while you're on the feed, please take some time to soak up a little industry knowledge. Thank you.